Hello there, I'm Steve from Mac84 and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at something very special. This beautiful Macintosh SE SE30 clear case from MacEffects. So let's take a look at what's inside the box. If you like exploring the history of Apple Computer and repairing vintage Macintosh computers, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like. There's a lot of content coming soon that I just can't wait to share. Speaking of content, Macintosh is upon us. Macintosh is a time when everyone comes together to create vintage Macintosh content. Whether it's a blog post or a video or something else, you could find it on Macintosh.com. There's a lovely content list there. Of course, around here it's sort of Macintosh all the time, but I love seeing other creators get into it. So check out Macintosh.com for all the details. For those of you familiar with MacEffects, they need no introduction. However, if you go to MacEffects.com, you could check out all the cool stuff they have to offer. Mark and his team has been creating awesome stuff for years. Clear cases for the Macintosh and Apple II series. They have an awesome Kickstarter that is currently going. This is a keyboard for the Apple IIc, and I know there's some really cool stuff coming in the pipeline. So check out MacEffects.com and make sure to keep an eye on their page. They have a lot of cool stuff to come. But today we're going to be focusing on this, and this is a clear case for the Macintosh SE SE30, and we have a few bonus extras here. Now, full disclosure, this was provided to me as a gift from Mark. He wanted me to do a thorough review of it, and that's what we will be doing today. I'm also going to talk about my plans for this case, and that is why I've been so delayed. So let's take a look at what we have here, and then we'll go from there. We have a little extra box up top, and we'll be reviewing what's in that in just a few moments. But for now, let's focus on the big box. So we have some documentation and stuff to look at. And here is the main event. This is a beautiful, clear Macintosh SE SE30 compatible case. And it is just stunning. Let's get it out of this plastic wrap and get a better look at it. Oh yeah, that is so cool. You could just see how much love and attention went into this thing. Look how clear that is. That is awesome. So this thing is just a labor of love. You could tell. I mean, this down to the smallest details, the grills here, the fan, the PDS slot over here, the cutouts and everything. This is just a beautiful replica. And I know that they did so much to make sure that this thing will be as perfect as they could get it. And really, it shows. I mean, there are so many people out there who are trying to create retro things, and it's just very clear that Mark and his team have the knowledge and expertise to pull off something like this. This is not something that is easily done by any stretch of the imagination. But my goodness, this is just fantastic. So, as you can see, we do have a clear case here. This is what comes with it. It's just the case. You do get some documentation, so let's take a look at what's inside there. Now, Mark did include a few extras for me, so what you may get may vary a little bit. So we have some instructions here, which is very nice. This document is meant to supplement the official Apple authorized guide to taking apart a Macintosh SE or SE30. And this is just telling you a few things that you have to understand when you're mounting your hardware inside of this wonderful case. For example, the speaker. They do have two methods. One involves using a hot glue gun. The other involves a soldering iron to sort of melt the plastic little pegs there to fit the speaker in. Of course, you could be a bit more creative. You could use, I guess, a glue or a Velcro or maybe magnets. Well, no, magnets wouldn't work. It's a speaker. But you could be a little creative of how you mount that in there. But they're just giving you some suggestions here. So it's very nice that they give you some instructions. I also have a little sticker here and some little feet. So this, I believe, comes with all of them. We have some little rubber feet, and these would go on the bottom of the case, just like a normal Macintosh SE or SE30 would have. They have these little indents there for the little feet. So that's really cool. There was one more goodie, and this is a Macintosh SE30 label with that lovely rainbow Apple logo there. And this is obviously to put on the front of the computer. I'm not sure if I would do that at this point in time, but that is where you would have it placed, in that corner. If you look at a regular Macintosh SE30, I have one over here, you could sort of see the orientation of that logo and everything. So you are well within your means to put that on there, and this is just clear backed, so I think that would actually look quite handsome. But yeah, that is really cool. We have all the little things that we need to get started on our Macintosh SE30 project. Now, there are limited numbers of this case still available, so if you really want one, go to MacEffects.com, check out their store, and see if they are still available. They are going pretty quickly. You will have the option of getting them in clear, red, blue, and green. So there are quite a few colors there to choose from. I'm quite partial to the clear myself, but if I had a second choice, I would say green. That's pretty cool as well. And my friend Adam built an excellent Macintosh with that green case, and here's a photo of that there. You may also recognize the blue case, which was featured in Action Retro's Cursed Macintosh SE series. Before we talk about what we're putting into this case, let's talk about the little bonus box that was included. And so we have a bunch of extras here, and most of these are still available on the store. This is a lovely Apple desktop bus mouse, and you can get the case for this to do it yourself. This one has been provided to me already assembled by Mark, so thank you very much, Mark. And this is a lovely recreation of that mouse. I mean, just look at that. This is fan-freaking-tastic. You feel the click on that, and that is great. It has the mouse ball in there and the cable and everything. Oh, I love that. I know some people have commented that the click mechanism doesn't feel quite as loose as the normal ADB mouse you would get, but that's just the way that this was constructed and designed. It's a little bit different, but I don't mind it at all. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It has a lovely click. So what more could you want from that? It's a perfect pairing to one of these machines. You can look at that. And you can see all the cool gizmos and gadgets inside of here. I'll get a close-up view so you can see that, but I think that's really neat. So thank you so much, Mark, for including that. We do have a few other extras in here. We have a fan. Now, of course, the Macintosh SE30 has a bit of a noisy fan, so you could replace it with a brand new fan. This one has some LEDs on it, and there's a little MacEffects sticker on the back as well. And that has a little header here, and to plug that into the Macintosh, you do have a little breakout header here for the Molex power connector, so you can plug that into where the hard drive would have normally plugged in on the power supply, and you could plug in one of these fans, and you can mount it in the back there where that grill is, and that'd be really cool. So that's really neat. We do have one more accessory in the box, and that is the programmer's switch, which is the reset and interrupt buttons for the Macintosh SE30. What Macintosh SE30 would be complete without these? So these are clear, just like the case. I'm going to take it out of the little plastic wrap here. Oh, there you go. Isn't that beautiful? I'll get a close-up of all this stuff, but yeah, this will go right on the side where this case is, which is really cool. And so once the logic board is in there, you have this plugged in there, you'd be able to reset and interrupt the machine if you had to. But like any Macintosh user, we hope we won't have to use those buttons too often. So as I mentioned earlier, the reason that Mark provided me this case was to do an honest review of it, and I can't fault it, really. It is absolutely beautiful. It is stunning. It is crystal clear. The corners are beautifully sculpted. You have the flat edges here like you would on a normal machine. I'm picking up some static, so excuse me. But the build quality is just absolutely fantastic. I've seen some repro cases. This is not a 3D printed case. This is a very expensive tooling process that they did here to build this. And this is just beautiful. And we could take it apart here. Oop. Well, let's try and do that a bit carefully. This is the only case we have. We don't want to scuff this up or anything. There we go. Oh, that is cool. We have the front faceplate here removed from the case, and you can just see how beautiful this is. Again, I'll get some close-ups here, but my goodness, the attention to detail with the lines here and just the quality of this. This looks like something Apple would have produced. It is that high quality. There's no corners cut here. You have the cutout for the brightness knob here. There's all the screw holes to mount the machine and the CRT in place and everything. I mean, that's just lovely. And then we have the back of it here, which is all just one smooth piece. I mean, this is lovely. I know they got this as perfect as they could, and it really shows. It really does. You just have so many cool little details here. We have the power plugs here, the PDS slot there. We have all the cutouts for your ports. This looks very much like a stock machine that has just been transformed clear. It's so freaking cool. I am so excited to have this because I have big plans for this. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I'd say quality-wise, top notch. You are getting what you're paying for here. And it's rare these days that you're getting something this high quality for that type of a price. Mark is an expert with this stuff. He's done many successful Kickstarter campaigns for Macintosh and Apple things, and I wish him all the best. This is just a top-notch product, and I can't say much more than that. And I look forward to using this in a completed project. Now, I've known Mark for a number of years, well before I started this YouTube channel, and I've always been impressed by the quality of his work. And him and his team have done a fantastic job on this. The construction is top-notch. This thing is really strong and sturdy. I would not have any worry about putting a CRT and a power supply and a logic board in here and screwing it all together and worrying about it being wobbly or anything like that. This thing is just really built like a tank. You know, you could see that there were no corners cut as far as quality is concerned. When I'm holding this, there's no flex to it. This is a very strong and sturdy product, and I am very excited to just, you know, use this when I have all my goodies put inside of here, and I have no worries about that. So I'm very excited about this, and again, just continually surprised of how awesome this is, because you've seen photos, you've seen videos of this online, you're probably watching this now, but until you see one in person, that's a whole different ball game. You could just tell from walking right up to it, this is no cheapo 3D printed thing. This is a beautiful, lovingly made recreation of the Macintosh SE SE30 case, and my goodness, I'm excited. So let's talk about why I'm excited. I have big plans for this, and let me explain why it's taken me so long to get to this point. So as you could tell, I have quite a collection of Apple things. It's kind of my deal, and it has been for the past 20 or so years. Yeah, so that collecting aside, I don't have an SE30, or I have not had one for a very long time. And so, although I do logic board repairs and a lot of that stuff for my clients, I didn't have an SE30 of my own. So luckily, somebody actually decided to give me one as a trade for recapping services. They said, here's one that doesn't work, and here's one that I want fixed. If you could fix it, you could keep the other one. And I said, all right, deal. But as we know, SE30s are a bit problematic. They have a lot of capacitors that love to leak, and unfortunately, the batteries in them just seem to love to explode. Here's one of the boards that I got recently. It's not in the best shape. As you can see, the battery is no longer there. It had exploded and leaked and got rust all over this lovely board. I would say this board is not exactly in functional state. And yeah, that's the problem with a lot of these machines. You don't get the batteries out of there, you don't replace the capacitors, bad things can happen. So unfortunately, a lot of SE30s out there that have come across my desk are in pretty poor shape. And I have one parts board, this might be the second one, and eventually I was actually able to get one board that I was able to fix up and actually get it up and running. However, that was quite a long time after I got this lovely case here. So I was trying my hardest to get an SE30 board to put in this case because I thought, I don't want to just put an SE logic board in there, I want to put an SE30 logic board in there. And I want to do something really cool with this machine. And sure, you've seen people max out the memory, get the Rominator upgrade for this, get some 040 PDS expansion slots and stuff like that, and put it in this case and have it up and running, which is all very well cool. In fact, Sean of Action Retro, his cursed SE30, which I had the pleasure of working on, is fantastic, and I love that, but I want to go in a slightly different direction. So where do we go from here? Now that is a very interesting question, and it's something I want to talk about today. I've teased this a little bit on my live streams, but here it is. I want to put an SE30 logic board in here. And I'm going to put some memory in there, and I'll probably use a blue SCSI or a raw SCSI in there. But I want to make this a little bit different. We do have a lovely SE30 case here, and unfortunately the analog board is going to be completely blocking the side of this machine. So I was thinking, well, can we replace the analog board? Maybe. But that got me thinking, do we need the analog board? Now you may be thinking, what the heck are you talking about, Stephen? Well, please allow me to divulge the details. So, my thought is, well, we have an awesome SE30 logic board. We have a beautiful case here by MacEffects. What else can we do to this machine to make it unique? Sure, we could throw in hundreds of dollars worth of processor upgrades, which I don't have and I can't afford at this moment in time. But I thought, what can I afford? And so I was browsing one of these websites one day and I came across this. A lovely 8.4-inch 640 by 480 color LCD display. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking. Well, I've seen an SE30 with a color LCD in there before, and people shove Raspberry Pis and Mac Minis and all that stuff on there. How is your beautiful little Macintosh here any different than that? Well, I'll tell you, because we're going to use the original SE30 logic board and an original PDS card to drive that color display. No emulation tricks, nothing fancy like that. Pure Apple Macintosh hardware driving a lovely LCD in this machine. Now, I don't have all the parts quite yet. I'm going to have to get an aftermarket power supply like the one Sean used, and I'm going to have to do my research as to how I'm going to fit everything delicately in this case. I also am taking Mark's advice of looking at what I can do to make sure that the metal cage and everything that goes into this machine looks as beautiful as possible. He recommended some finishes or some processes that could be done to that metal to really make it shine. If you have any suggestions of that, let me know in the comment section. I'd love to know. But as the old adage goes, show, don't tell. So let me grab some things. Okay, so let me explain what I got going on here. We have a Macintosh SE case, and this is an analog board, the power supply, and the CRT. We do not have a logic board inside of this case. Instead, we have an ATX extension cable running from the analog board to this SE30 board. This is the only SE30 board I have that works, and I'm very excited to finally have one. We have a standard Macintosh SE30 ROM. We only have about 4 megs of memory here. I have a blue SCSI DB25 adapter on the back so we can boot up. And this lovely thing is what makes the magic possible. This is a Lapis Color PDS card, and it has a DB15 connector on it, which you could hopefully see there. And this is converted to VGA, which is what this little 8.4-inch 640 by 480 LCD display can accept. So we have that cable going to there. And then we have our clear MacEffects case here as a demonstration of, well, you could sort of maybe imagine the LCD in the case, okay? So we have everything plugged in. We're going to turn it on, and I'm going to explain what's going on here. Forgive any noises that are coming from the analog board. It needs a little work. So we have the internal display coming up here, and you also saw the Lapis logo on here. What's cool about this PDS card is by default, the color display is the primary display. So we don't have to worry about messing with monitor identities or configurations or anything. That's all automatic. So it's booting right into System 7.1. You can see that color display is fantastic. So as you can see here, we have an original Macintosh SE30 in color. This is using an original logic board and a period accurate PDS card slot. The only thing that's pretty modern here is the LCD display. But that's it. This is freaking awesome. I'm so excited to have put this together and to have thought of this when I was looking at this Macintosh SE clear case. I think it'll be an awesome setup when everything is in this case. I still have quite a little ways to go. I have to get a power supply so I don't have to use the analog board and all that stuff. And then I have to figure out how I want to place everything in here and how I'm going to mount everything. But I have a few ideas about that. But as you can see, this is running very well. If I click the identify button in the monitor's control panel, you'll see that number 2 is coming up on the SE case and number 1 is coming up on the LCD because the LCD is the primary display as far as this Macintosh is concerned, which is awesome. That's exactly how we want it. All right, so let's shut down this machine here. So that is a preview of what I hope to accomplish with this lovely MacEffects case. And I think that's the perfect thing to try and do with something like this. Make it a little bit special, make it something really cool, and make it something that you're going to be proud to use. Again, there are limited availability of these clear cases on the MacEffects.com website. I really encourage you to go check that out before they are gone, because once they're gone, they're gone. Also, please check out MacEffects.net. That will forward to Mark's current Kickstarter. Their beautiful Apple IIc replacement keyboard with those backlight effects is really cool. So I certainly hope you check that out. They already met their goal. You could trust that they will deliver this product. It's not going to be like one of those other Kickstarters that they just disappear. Nah, they've been in the game for a long time and they deliver quality products. Although I've known Mark for a long time, it wasn't until last year at VCF Midwest that I met him in person. He had awesome things on display there, and here's a few photos from that event. So again, Mark, thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope I make you proud with what I do with this lovely SE30 case. So as you can see here, it's going to be a little bit of a while before I get all of this stuff neatly packed and presented in this lovely MacEffects Clear SE case. So it's going to be a little bit, but I hope you join me for that journey. If you want to support me on Patreon and fund these efforts, you could do so at patreon.com/Mac84. For as little as $1 a month, you get an insider preview into all this shenanigans that are going on here, and you get draft previews of my videos before anybody else. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. My handle is Mac84TV. And if you like these sorts of videos, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. But that's about it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you right here next time on Mac84.